Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with a video on I was lucky, happy and not annoyed. These words were spoken by Grandmaster Alireza Firouzja after his game with Grandmaster David Howell in round 10, the penultimate round of the FIDE Grand Swiss, with 2 places in the 2022 Candidates Tournament up for grabs in the open section. Both players were very much in the mix for taking one of these 2 spots. Firouzja had been amongst the leaders from the start, but had a setback in round 9, losing to Fabiano Caruana. David Howell won his last 4 games to join the leaders Firouzja and Caruana on 6.5 out of 9 games. So these 2 players met in round 10 with Alireza Firouzja having the white pieces and David Howell on the black side. The opening was an Italian gioco piano and we have arrived at move 28. Black Howell has just played the bishop from c7 to e5. White has a better position and now the fireworks start. Firouzja is going to win a pawn through a complex tactical sequence, but he made a mistake somewhere. Let's have a look. On move 28, Firouzja found knight takes h6 check, a good move, winning a pawn for white, a deep tactical shot. The point is that this takes away a defender of the knight on f6, and after taking on g6 on the next move, that is also eliminating a defender of the bishop on e5. So he will get the piece back that he is sacrificing now and will then have an extra pawn, as he just captured one of black's pawns on h6. Let's see it on the board. Howell took that piece, and indeed that is taking away a defender of the knight on f6. And now Firouzja took on g6, and by doing that, taking off that knight, it's taking away a defender of the bishop on e5. Howell had an in-between move, he takes on g3. Firouzja had seen that, rook takes e8 check, that rook was recaptured, and now you can just take back on g3, which was not played. Black then takes on g6, and white regains the piece with the bishop takes f6. The fireworks are over, and white has good winning chances in this endgame with an extra pawn. That's what Firouzja should have done. In this position he should have taken on g3. But he thought he had a better move and he played queen f3, and that is a mistake. At first sight it looks like a good move. For example, if you try to protect the knight with rook e6, then white cannot win that knight anyway with bishop takes f6, because there's f takes g6 and you have to take on g3, and then there is queen b6 check, and that's also covering the f6 square. After the king plays, the rook takes, and this is good for black. What you have to do after rook e6 is take on g3 with the queen. If then black takes on g6, there is queen takes g6 check, and that wins the knight on f6 and white is winning. So queen f3 looks like a good move. You're going to win back that piece anyway. You cannot play knight e4 for example to save the knight, because then indeed it is checkmate in one move on f7. So it looks like Firouzja's queen f3 is a good move. He doesn't have to win the piece back straight away, but he had missed a wonderful tactical shot, which Howell found with only a few minutes on the clock. Howell played this amazing move. Queen b7 to c6 in time trouble. Howell found this amazing resource. I'll play a little clip for you later where Firouzja explains that he had missed this move. Let's have a look at why this is such a good move. Can you not just take that queen? Well, you can, but then there is rook e1 checkmate. As Firouzja said after the game, it is unusual that you get checkmated on the back rank when you have made Luft for the king with h2, h3. But now there is a black bishop on g3, taking the h2 square away from the white king. So you cannot take the queen after queen c6. Another thing that move is doing, it's also attacking the rook on c1, with checkmate to follow. And playing away the rook does not work, because then there is bishop e5 and black will remain a piece up. So it looks like the tables have turned, but there is one way out, and Firouzja found it, and he said he was lucky that he had his move. White has bishop c2, and it was played by Firouzja. And now Howell, who was still in terrible time trouble, should have played bishop e5. He did not find that move. The point is that after bishop h7 check, yes, this is a very complex game, which is now attacking the queen, and there is no checkmate anymore because the bishop is in the way. Let's look at the variation. Knight takes h7, and you can take the queen. Bishop takes e6, bishop takes e5, and rook takes e5, and black should be able to hold this very unusual endgame with rook, bishop, and knight for the queen. For example, queen g3 check does not win the rook. It looks like a fork, but there is rook g5, saving the rook. So after bishop c2 played in the game, bishop e5 should have been played. But Howell played bishop b8 instead, and that is not such a good move. We'll hear Firouzja commenting on that as well in his interview. Because now white took on f6, regaining the piece he sacrificed, queen takes and bishop takes, and white has winning chances in this technical endgame with an extra pawn. A few moves later the rooks were swapped and Firouzja showed great technique, winning this endgame on move 57. A very important win for the young Frenchman after yesterday's loss to Fabiano Caruana. As we'll see, he's in the sole lead with 1 round to go. Before we look at the standings, let's listen to Firouzja's comments on this critical moment in the game.
No, of course I missed this queen c6, and it was just a shock to me, because normally it's very awkward, this very weird, this setup of mating in the background when your pawn on h3, but okay, bishop is on g3, so it was a shock, but I was lucky. I had this bishop c2 and I was keeping the game going at least. I was not suddenly losing. So I was lucky because he saw, when I made the next move, he suddenly played the wrong move, I think. And I managed to calm myself down. But when I saw I had this bishop c2 and I am at least keeping the game going and I'm not losing right away, I was a little happy. That's why I was not so annoyed.
I will show you the pairings for round 11 in the open section. It's going to be a nail-biting finish. Remember, there are 2 places up for grabs in next year's candidates tournament, but also there are 6 places up for grabs for the Grand Prix, which will be played early 2022. And also 2 players will qualify from the Grand Prix for the candidates tournament. If you want to know what this Grand Prix is about, you can watch the video that I've linked up here. So the pairings, there are 7 boards that will be interesting for the final standings. Oparin against Firouzja on board 1, Caruana against Pretke. Will a draw be enough for Fabiano Caruana to qualify? It might well be, it depends on all sorts of complicated tiebreaks. Board 3 is Yu Yangyi against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Both players need to win. And the same is on board 4 between Deyak and Yesipenko, Sargsyan Shirov, Anton Guijarro, Sevian, and Hull against Keimer. Vincent Keimer won his last 3 games and is now in contention. But all those players that have 6.5 points need to win to have any chance to make it into the top 2. It's going to be very, very exciting. In the women's section we have a winner. Lei Tingjie from China has won the tournament with a round to spare, and she has qualified for the candidates tournament in 2022. As you can see, her compatriot Zhu Jiner is 1.5 points behind, so Lei Tingjie cannot be overtaken in the final round. 5 players on 6.5 out of 10, Elizabeth Petz, Maria Muzichuk, Harika Dronavali, Bibisara Asubayeva and Cori Daisy from Peru. The last round will be played on Sunday the 7th of November, and I will be here after the round to tell you what happens. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel, and please leave a comment. I will read them all and I will reply to them all. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter and on Facebook. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.